armed forces have become completely different. Completely different. Over the entire course of the special military operation, it has become evident that the Russian Federation has successfully regained its full and complete status of national sovereignty. Our nuclear shield, it is in fact a formidable defense system, is significantly more modern and advanced than the nuclear component of any other official nuclear power possessing nation. How modern is it? Over 80%? 92%? 92% is the modernity of our nuclear forces. Well, no other country, no nuclear country in the world has that. Yes, we still have many questions and problems in this area. I see people here in the hall who have come here directly from the front lines, from the midst of combat contact. Here they are sitting, I see them. And they know that there are still a lot of problems in the army. They face this every day. And yet our armed forces have become completely different. Completely different. And most importantly, what has happened over the entire course of the special military operation, it has become evident that the Russian Federation has successfully regained its full and complete status of national sovereignty, asserting its independent global position. Russia has become, in every sense of the word, a sovereign country. We have regained this status, including to a significant extent thanks to your participation, with the participation of the armed forces. Our army has become completely different. This concerns command and control, tactics and strategy. This concerns equipment. This concerns the activities and work of the defense industry complex. This concerns the strategic component. Our nuclear shield, it is in fact a formidable defense system, is significantly more modern and advanced than the nuclear component of any other official nuclear power possessing nation. How modern is it? Over 80%? 92%? 92% is the modernity of our nuclear forces. Well, no other country, no nuclear country in the world has that. We are developing new means of destruction, new weapons. Who else? No one else in the world has this, and it won't appear anywhere else anytime soon. I've mentioned them, we know this, both Avangard and Brevesnik and so on. And our ground forces are growing significantly. Yes, I repeat once again. The guys who just came back from the front know there are a lot of problems. But the troops are completely different now. And they are military professionals. There is no other army like this in the world. It simply doesn't exist. Yes, indeed, the brave and resilient armed forces of Ukraine are currently going through the intense and demanding crucible of continuous military action and ongoing conflict, facing significant challenges with unwavering determination. But unfortunately for them, Ukrainian statehood is falling apart. You can see it by the golden toilets. The armed forces are also degrading. The increasing number of deserters is evidence of this. In Ukraine alone, more than 100,000 criminal cases for desertion have been opened. And the total number of deserters is in the hundreds of thousands. This is a clear sign of degradation. Our armed forces are on the rise. I repeat, there is still much to be done, but all of it will be accomplished. And despite this significant situation, we have always consistently said, and I want to emphatically say it again right now, that we, as we have always done before, are fully ready to genuinely negotiate and are completely prepared to resolve all the complex problems that have unfortunately arisen in recent years by entirely peaceful means. The administration of the United States of America is demonstrating such readiness, and we are engaged in dialogue with them. I hope the same will happen with Europe. It is unlikely that this is possible with the current political elites, but in any case, it will inevitably happen as we continue to strengthen. If not with the current politicians, then when the political elites in Europe change, I want to thank you for your dedicated work in 2025 and to express both my hope and confidence that all the tasks facing our country will be accomplished. And on the line of combat contact, as is customary, I will simply share with you some general thoughts. I probably won't say anything particularly new, but nevertheless, I believe this is important. I would like to start with our recent history with what has happened in order to understand where we are and why we are where we are. Immediately after, I've spoken about this many times already, but nevertheless, I think it won't hurt to repeat it. Immediately after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and at that time, it seemed to us that we would very quickly become members of the so-called civilized family of European nations, or rather, the civilized Western family. Today, it turns out that there is no civilization there at all, only total degradation. But that doesn't matter. Back then, it seemed like a good thing, and that we would become a full-fledged, equal part of this family. Nothing of the sort happened. You see, that's the thing, isn't it? Nothing of the sort. We did not become any kind of equal part of this family. No, on the contrary. Russia continued to be pressured from all sides. And moreover, the pressure only grew stronger and stronger. Almost everything regarding Russia was decided from a position of strength. They would pat us on the back. We were invited to various events, but when it came to their interests regarding Russia, the West pushed them through by forceful means, including military force. How else? Support for separatism and terrorism was demonstrated and carried out precisely by armed means. Terrorists were supplied with weapons and money. They provided them with political and informational support across the board. They imposed economic restrictions. That is also a form of forceful pressure, and quite a significant one at that. I remember very well personally when we said, "But how can this be? We are obliged to protect our country from terrorism." And they would tell us, "No, you do whatever you want, but you can't do this and you can't do that." This is absolutely not allowed. Otherwise, you certainly won't obtain any loans whatsoever. And furthermore, you won't get any extensions or preferential terms. This is direct, and it also concerns the economic sphere. Forceful pressure, restrictions. Destructive tools were also used to influence Russia's internal politics, deliberately trying to destabilize Russia from within. Just as we have seen in some other countries, tools were created and used to destabilize the internal political situation. In the end, yes, and of course, nothing that was created in the post-war period was working anymore. Everything began to degrade very quickly. All these rules and the UN Charter started to be ignored. Well, what about the events in Yugoslavia? What were they? Where was the UN Charter there? Use of force? We've talked about this many times, but it's a fact. Where was it? There was nothing. They simply did whatever they thought was necessary. Were they able to force a vote to make them vote? Fine. If not, they didn't care. Direct use of armed forces. And in the end, they tore it apart. They tore apart Yugoslavia and the Serbs. They split one people into different state apartments, and that was it. And that's all. And ultimately, I'm not even talking about NATO expansion now, although that's an obvious thing. Even today, we're told you have no right to force anyone to resolve their security issues the way you want and deprive them of the right to do it the way they want. We are not depriving anyone of any rights, and we're not demanding anything special from anyone. We're simply insisting on the fulfillment of the promises made to us.